I haven't done TJbletop in a long time. Mostly because, well, they don't get a whole lot of views. However, it is a platform I have to talk about a game I dearly love. To this day, I play 2 different campaigns of Dungeons and Dragons a week. I have friends who gift me things based on my D&D characters. I have props at home and 3D prints of things for my D&D characters. I have half of a homebrew world created. I'm just kind of waiting for enough friends to get a schedule together so we can actually play. I love Dungeons and Dragons. So I wanted to do TJbletop, where I get to tell stories from the table, and I get to share all the fun experiences I have with friends, the stories and adventures we go on, and the crazy antics that my weird characters can come up with. Unfortunately, I'm coming back to TJbletop not to share stories from the table, but to share very real-world stories, and none of them being good. Right now, the community at large in Dungeons & Dragons is under attack by Dungeons and Dragons. So Wizards of the Coast, they have their 1 D&D coming out, and along with it is a brand new open gaming license. Okay, so what is the open gaming license? This was essentially a legally binding document that was supposedly going to give D&D players and creators the ability to actually share the games the way they want, and to create things to supplement Dungeons and Dragons and actually be able to profit off of them. So if you want to create a campaign module and sell it independently off of Amazon, you can do that. If you want to create a service that lets people play over the internet, you can do that. If you want to do a Dungeons and Dragons show on Twitch or YouTube where you show like you and your friends playing games together, that you can do that. The open gaming license created a lot of opportunity within the tabletop RPG space, not only for companies to come up, but for people to share their passions, and for improving things like accessibility, because, Wizards of the Coast certainly wasn't doing that. However, with the new open gaming license, the 1.1 or the 2.0, depending on which one you're reading, now the story's changed. Literally, like everything I just said, all of that would be gone. Literally all of it. The new version of the open gaming license basically makes all of those things a copyright violation. You are not allowed to create anything for Dungeons & Dragons. No supplements, no extra stories, no nothing. If you create it, we own it now. You are not allowed to create an online service that lets people play Dungeons & Dragons remotely over the internet. You got to shut that down. You are not allowed to broadcast your stream or make a profitable show off of Dungeons & Dragons without giving us a cut of that money, or else we're going to shut you down. That's basically the new open gaming license. We own your stuff, and if we don't own your stuff, we're going to force you to quit your stuff, and even if you don't want to quit your stuff, you got to pay us in order to keep doing your stuff. 25% tax, by the way. If you want to use anything Dungeons & Dragons in something that makes money, 25% tax, and that is not based on your profit, that's based on your gross. So let's say you only have, like a 40% profit margin off of what you're creating. This kind of like wholesale price in that sense. You're okay. So you get, that 40% of profit. Well, that full 100%, it's 25% of that. So now you're looking at maybe like 15% of your income is still yours, and the rest has to go into D&D. Keep in mind, because of the open gaming license, Dungeons & Dragons has flourished in ways that you could never have imagined before. People have created entire gaming companies based around the OGL. You have web shows like Critical Role. Critical Role would not exist if this current OGL was in play when they started. They wouldn't have been allowed to broadcast and profit off of a show on Twitch because that used Dungeons & Dragons. And it's incredibly frustrating. This entire platform and all the expansion and the reason Dungeons and Dragons is so popular today is because of web shows like that. Because people are able to share their creativity, share their stories, and actually turn business on them. There's thousands of people who are employed in this space. Artists, game designers, programmers. You have tons of people who have in companies based on the OGL that would all be out of a job. Now let's dive into some of this here, because a lot of this has come up, and I'm using Tiefling Melissa's Twitter feed because she's been really good at sharing all of this. So if we start going over, so we got, the only reason we know this happened was because the document, the PDF, leaked. Otherwise, this would have just been rammed through, and we would have been none the wiser, and like they just would have like slash and burn the entire community overnight. Literally. So let's see what the actual story here is. Now, this is from an insider at Wizards of the Coast. I know you can't see the whole thing on your screen because this thing is super wide. Working with what I can. I will read it to you. I'm an employee at Wizards of the Coast, currently working on D&D Beyond and with D&D business leaders on the health and product line. If you want, I can provide proof of this. I'm sending this message because I fear for the health and community I love, and I know what the leaders of Wizards of the Coast are looking at. They are briefly delaying rollout of OGL changes due to the backlash, which is good. There's been an enormous backlash against this online. Of course there has. Their decision is based entirely on the provable impact to their bottom line. Money. They want to see if this is losing them money. Specifically, they're looking at D&D Beyond subscribers and cancellations, as it is the quickest financial data they currently have. They are still hoping the community forgets, moves on, and they can still push this through. That's the biggest thing here, is that this enormous backlash is going on right now in the D&D community, and Wizards of the Coast is still kind of hoping that all this just kind of quietly goes away, and they can just get away with doing whatever they want. And that is not going to be the case. I don't think it's going to be the case. This is not something you do and they just forget. The internet doesn't forget. Let's keep that in mind above all else. But what's frustrating about this is just the way they look at us as a community. Keep in mind, they're doing this as a money grab. Obviously, they're doing it as a money grab because the open gaming license has also led to the rise of competitors like Pathfinder. But honestly, when you look at Pathfinder compared to D&D, like, it's kind of like calling your local, it's kind of like calling this toy shop that I'm currently sitting in a competitor to Target, you know? It doesn't compare. It doesn't even come close. And I'll give you another point. Wizards of the Coast last year made $1.3 billion in profit. And they don't think that's enough money. That is somehow not enough money, and they see us as an obstacle. Like, literally, this is the wording from the leaks. They see us as an obstacle to them getting more money. Jeez. The customers are an obstacle. I've never heard of something so anti-consumer in my life. They don't even see us as the way to get money. They see us as the thing that's preventing them from getting money. Really? Because I'm pretty sure we're the ones that made this game as popular as it is. Like, even if you go to, like, Critical Role made it popular these days, like, Stranger Things made it mainstream. No, but the fans are the ones who carry it. So, let's take a look at the backlash, shall we? Because the backlash has been amazing. Alright, so back to Melissa's Twitter feed again, to give us a screenshot that showed that D&D Beyond was going to have a live stream on the 12th, that got abruptly canceled. Mostly because when they were attempting to stream, literally the entire chat was #OpenDND, the official protest, the protest hashtag of this new OGL. So they had to cancel the stream for it. They couldn't even come out in the public about it, which was hilarious. And the community has rallied for the most part. So congratulations to everyone who's been pushing for this. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. It's going to be more necessary. I love the memes that have come out about it too. Like literally everyone in the community, no matter where you are. Because keep in mind, everyone you see on here, all of these are affected. If you play Dungeons and Dragons, it's going to affect you. If your friends do homebrew campaign, it's going to affect them. If they do shows, if you watch Critical Role, if you watch some other lower tier Dungeons and Dragons show on YouTube or Twitch, it will affect them. If you are anywhere in the space of Dungeons and Dragons at all, it's going to affect you. Like, this is incredibly overreaching. There's another one on here I didn't even mention. Kickstarter. The Kickstarter rules are fantastic, by the way. So, if you do a crowdfunding campaign and it doesn't get full funding, so let's say not even Kickstarter. Let's say you did, it doesn't matter. Why am I trying to come up with an example? Let's say you're using a Kickstarter. Let's say you're using a crowdfunding platform that lets you keep whatever money gets donated, even if you don't reach your funding goal, right? If you do that, Wizards of the Coast still will demand 25%. So you had a module, you had a game, you had a set of miniatures, you had some D&D peripheral thing that you were going to market, and then, okay, you needed $10,000 to fund it, you only made $1,000. Wizards of the Coast is still going to take $250 from you. For what? I didn't even publish anything. For merely trying to publish something, I get hit with a 25% tax. Idiots! So let's see, what else do we have here? So, here's the thing. They've been radio silent for a long time on this. But they're starting to actually make statements. There is an official statement out from Wizards of the Coast right now, and they are actually trying to respond by saying it's a tie. Essentially. So they're basically just what they're trying to do is just kind of like they're trying to sweep it under the rug is what they're doing. This was pointed out. Yeah, man, I didn't pull up the tweet. I didn't pull up the right tweet, but this was handled phenomenally. So the statement from Wizards of the Coast about this basically reads like, well, we were going to gauge your interest. We were, this was just to see what you guys thought. We weren't going to install it. We weren't going to ram it through. We wanted to see what you guys do first. We wanted to make sure that you were cool with this. They're trying to make it as if they were on our side the whole time and that all of this nightmare was just testing the waters just to see what public reaction would be. Except we only found out about this because of a leak. The employees at Wizards of the Coast got completely blindsided by this. They were going to rush through the activation and the announcement stream before the protest got too loud for them to actually broadcast it. I wish I could remember everything because there's a lot of stuff that just screams BS. This is not what they were intending. They're flat out lying to you now. Don't underestimate that. They were going to push it through no matter what and make everyone suffer the consequences of it. This was not a test run. This was not to gauge our feedback. How are you going to gauge feedback off of something you leaked? It leaked. And I can't imagine why we're going through this now. Because guess what? There's so much in D&D going on. There's a movie coming out in just a couple months. There's a TV show on Paramount Plus. There's a full line of toys coming out. D&D has never been more monetized than it will be in 2023. And yet here we are with Wizards of the Coast screaming because a few people put out some campaign modules that make, a couple thousand in profit. That they won on top of their 1.3 billion from last year. On top of the probably 3 or 4 billion they're going to make once the TV shows and toy lines take off. It is such blatant greed. And here's the thing, that you're even read up on this, and like it might not even be legal to revoke the original open gaming license because it was designed to be unrevocable the way it was originally written. And according to them, it's like, no, that was never the intention, that it was supposed to like allow competitors to be created. It was supposed to be just so you can run your own stuff. Like, it's been a thing for a long time now. Like, you know, if that wasn't how it was intended, one, you got some really terrible lawyers who wrote it up in the first place, and two, why didn't you change it sooner? Why did you wait until now, when you've got a brand new edition of D&D, one D&D on the way, and then all this media push? Or is it just that you just hate the gamers in general? The reaction from Wizards of the Coast to actually see us as opposition, as an opposing force. We are not your we're not your customers, we are their enemy in their mindset, that we are in the way of their profit. This is baffling to me, but it makes me really wonder, like, is it just that they want D&D to just be mainstream now? Do they not even want the game? They want the movie, they want the TV show, they want the toy line, but do they even want the game to be what it is now? Well, if they want to shut down Roll20 and all the other online play services, the game's going to shrink dramatically. If they eliminate a lot of people, if they, send thousands of people out of a job, and cut out on all these other publishing companies, that's going to cut the gaming market down. You've already got people canceling everything D&D in order to protest this, or people switching to alternatives, or waiting for companies who are announcing alternatives to D&D. For a company that says that the open gaming license created competitors for D&D, nothing has created competitors for D&D faster than revoking that license did. There's so many people now coming up with the next sword and sorcery fantasy game. It's ridiculous. All because they wanted more money on top of, practically, almost $1.5 billion. So, I'm putting my word out here just so there's some extra word. Even if I'm just adding to the noise, I have a platform, I'm going to use it, and something I love is in incredible amount of danger, right? Like, I have friends who are out a lot of aspirations and goals in their life if this goes through. Like, if my homebrew world that I'm doing for my friends turns out to be really good, and I kind of want to, like, extend that into, like, a module, I'm not allowed to publish it. I'm not allowed to do anything with it. And even if I do publish it and pay up their tax, Wizards of the Coast is just going to claim ownership of it anyway. Like the leak said, the only thing we really have right now is D&D Beyond, because they can monitor that in real time. So here's my buddy Gob the Goblin. Fantastic VTuber, by the way. Go follow him. But he has posted proof that he's canceled his D&D Beyond subscription, and I ask all of you to do it too. You can go back to pen and paper. Frankly, hey, you can use wikis to look up stuff in the books. You don't need to use their app and a bunch of digital books that should cost you less than the real printed books, but they don't, which is a great thing there. I'll remind you, D&D Beyond also was not originally owned by Wizards of the Coast, something else the OGL allowed to exist. Cancel the subscription. Let them know, and don't forget it. Don't let them, because the second we let our guard down, the second the D&D community stops talking about this, they're going to ram it through, and they're going to take everything away from us, and they are going to rip this community asunder, all for the sake of what they presume is going to be an extra buck, when most likely, if this keeps up, they're going to cost themselves in ways I don't think they can imagine. So let them know now. Hit them in the pocketbook now. Cancel the subscriptions if you got them, and keep spreading the hashtag Open D&D. Let everyone know what is going on. Retweet all of the information that's coming out. Don't let anyone forget, and don't let back until we have like an official thing that says the original OGL isn't going anywhere. Until they officially cancel the plans for the new OGL. And then keep a lookout just in case they try to sneak it through again, because they will try to sneak it through again. Vigilance is required here. So that's what I got for you today. Just venting my thoughts and spreading the word. Because it's a really, really important word to spread. This is really, really bad for the tabletop community as a whole. So, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I get to do TJbletop another day without getting sued over it. But yeah, it's a bad, dark time for a D&D player. And I'm hoping that all this protest and all this noise makes a difference. We'll see. Until next time. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.